So Martin wins 57, Jess 56, and yours truly, amazing teacher, 54. Wow, there you go. All right, so Mr. Fowler, we'll start.
What do we think?
What'd you think?
It's a really nice, what I think of as an occasional game. It may be more than an occasional game, but it's definitely a nice occasional game. By an occasional game, I'd parallel it to something like Istanbul, which I bought a few years ago. We played half a dozen times. We enjoyed playing it. We don't play it regularly, but you pull it off the shelf once a year, maybe twice a year. You can teach it to somebody very, very quickly. You can settle down. You can have a really good game, even with people who aren't sort of obsessive gamers like us. And it's just really enjoyable. There's enough in the mechanisms to have fun. There's a lot of interaction on the board. Istanbul has a lot less randomness, but the randomness here, you've got a lot of scope within the randomness.
Right.
It doesn't constrain you too much. You've got to play with it, but it's like Castles of Burgundy. There's a fair bit of randomness, but you can play within it quite nicely. It's the kind of game that would, weight-wise and generally likewise, would be in Kennerspiel territory, I would think.
Yeah,
yep.
I agree with that. That's exactly where this falls.
This is, yes, it's a total gimmick, the tortoise shell thing, but it's such a good gimmick, and it's so thematic that it works, and I really like having it. It's a shame that you have the white-black thing on coins, and that you have to sticker it.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, but...
don't. But the only reason, and it's actually a footnote in the rule book, that the stickers are there if you want to use them just for quick, because let's face it, I don't think anybody present can read Chinese.
Right.
So therefore, it's just a quick little visual cue. But I agree. As the person who had the sticker them, those are tiny little stickers and they're a pain in the butt. Yeah. But that said, I'm okay with it, but I get what you're saying.
It's not a big deal.
Yes. Yeah.
I love the fact that we're battling over this map here, and early on you're kind of working in your own little space, and then you're rubbing up against each other, and you have to keep much more of an idea of what everyone else is doing, where the regional things are, watching there to see, oh, I think they're after a blue or green, so that gives me an idea where they're going to go. The choices you have to make as to which ones of these to go with. There's a lot of interesting things to think about, but not terribly complicated rules, and that's a really nice sweet spot. That's the kind of game I enjoy for that kind of occasional game.
Yeah, I agree. A good comparison to Istanbul, and people are responding to that as well, people who find that their favorite game. I'm liking it more the more we play it as well. The fact that you can forego actions down here to bump up your yin yang.
Right.
Over here, that's incredible, because you get to a point where these may be pegged towards the top, and your next turn, on your roll, you're probably going to get at least one of a color or two.
Which is exactly what happened with me, right?
And being able to say, it's better for me to forego this move because I can peg this out, grab one of those, and bring it back down so I know I'm going to maximize my next roll. Oh my goodness, that added so much for me in this game. And that said, right when it was being explained to us from the get-go, we're excited because the look of it drew us in.
Just the aesthetic, right?
Yes, just the aesthetic, just in so much going on. Why are these gems like this? And the bingo component of that, and knowing that that's what you have to do to unlock that endgame scoring. And these are randomly put out, so either plan really, really well, or make sure that you're moving those tiles around based on what you know you're going to get in the board. So in between turns, there is a little bit of downtime because you can't really plan ahead, but you can. You can plan ahead in a different way where you're like, all right, well, if I map out that I'm going this way, I'm going to get these gems, and then that means I'm going to score this, so maybe I need to move that in a previous turn. All of that, and the fact that, sure, there's randomness in that you're shaking those out, and, okay, what you get is what you're going to have to work with, but there are so many options. Add to that then they think, all right, well, let's block some out so that you can't just pre-predict, oh, next turn I'm going to do this, and then at round 4 I'm always going to switch my tiles. Nope, because luck of the gods is that may be a blocked off thing. That's tremendous to me, and I tend to look at games from the development of it and what has been maybe weeded out and added in and how those things all mesh together. And for me, this game, I love the development of it. The fact that all those things intermingle to make this game really shines for me. It's a lighter weight than I'd normally be drawn to, but that's not the magic here. The magic here is the way this just flows together, and that even when you get stuck and get to the end and you can't use those actions, no, but there's a huge benefit. That might be a great thing. There were times where I was like, I wish I could not use another action because it would be so beneficial. To have that moment in a game that has this, what is it, like quadruple, mechanisms on top of each other, I love it. To me, that shines because there is randomness and they've mitigated it for me completely.
Yeah, for me, there's nothing super original about this game as far as mechanically.
Yeah.
Everything about this feels familiar. We are, as experienced gamers, nothing here is like, oh, wow, I've never seen that before. That's amazing. But where the game shines is the way I've always said that a game to stand out needs to do one of two things. It better do something brand new that is like, wow, that's awesome. Or it better do something that is established and do it in a way that just is fantastic. I would say that this is on the latter end of that. The way that everything is intertwined. Nothing here feels extraneous. Nothing here feels tacked on. Oh, you can't use that. Fine, we'll give you a little kiss on the cheek for this. No, because that could be a hugely important little kiss on the cheek that you get.
No, it's strategy.
Talking about the extra actions, right? To where you can intentionally not take one of your actions during the action phase. Everything here is so intermeshed and so finely woven that it just... I wish there was a better way that I knew to describe it, but it just feels good. The way everything flows together, it's seamless. And I'll be honest, when we saw this at first and we were going over it with the publisher, with Wang Yi, we were sitting there like, oh, that sounds good, that sounds good. Everything can sound great. Like when you read a rule book, you can be like, wow, that sounds great, or that sounds terrible. But until you actually experience it, you're like, you don't know. Nope, this nailed it. Like, it hits above its weight. It punches above its weight. It's super simple mechanically. At no point did we have to reference the rule book. Jess was looking at stuff, but I'll be honest, handy-dandy little player aid, even in a different language, works perfectly fine to be able to figure it all out. And it just flows super easy. And with a full teach and the whole 9 yards and streaming time added in, an hour and 45 minutes, it's an hour-long game.
Yeah.
You could make a case that this could be a lunchtime. It's not. It's a little past that. But
and
if this were more common of a game, I could see this being the quintessential midweight Euro.
Yeah.
Right? This could potentially replace Rococo or be on par with like a Rococo but arguably, I would enjoy this more for the simple fact that it's just super low rules overhead, but I still get that fulfillment. The way it feels I feel completely satisfied having played this.
Same.
And it's not, we just recently did High Frontier, Bios Origins. It just feels good. For a midweight Euro, this is where I want to be. This feels old school with new school development.
With that tight scoring, it's not always tight scoring, as we've seen. But even
end, she housed us.
But even at the end, you're like, I still feel good. I feel like good game. Wow, that was really cool how you did that. Oh, look, you did the diagonal. I didn't even see that coming. There was there's just that interaction of like, wow, you did really well there. Oh, look how you traveled across. Like that. Yeah, it's just, I really do enjoy it. And I don't think Mac VS is it long enough. Yes, I think 5 is perfect. Well, it's just to that point that when I really do. But yes, but that last 5 is perfect. You do feel the tightness. You're like, oh no, it's round 5.
I was like, can I make it up here to do something?
Yes.
Because it was super tight. I was like,
but that's perfect. Yeah. You want to regret the ending. Like you're like, oh, but and that's exactly how it should be.
And here, go ahead and bring up the point you were going to make, Martin, if you would.
Oh, okay. I was saying,
I'll come back to this. Go ahead.
Heavy gamers don't always play heavy games, right? Because sometimes you've got people who aren't into heavy games that you want to play a game with, or you're just not in the mood for something. I love City of the Big Shoulders and Brass and stuff like that, but
I don't
sometimes
always feel up for it.
I need something lighter. And then you want something that, you can pull off the shelf having not played for a year and go, okay, let's familiarise myself with the rules, teach the people who have come over for dinner, have had 1 or 2 glasses of wine too much and can still take the rules in, and then have another glass of wine while you're playing it.
It's so crazy intuitive. Like, once you get a hang of it, it makes perfect sense what you're doing.
Yep. And the thing I wanted to point out real quick for the player count. So at 3-player, you populate all of these out here with different gems, right? In the 2-player, you omit the blue ones. So this one, this one, this one. So there are less things out here on the board. And on the flip side is the 4-player, which has more spots, obviously, which makes sense. And the scoring is going to be, there you go. And the scoring is going to be higher as well, as you can see there. And it doesn't have the scaling that it needs there. So there you go. Okay? What? Oh, and also, I haven't looked through it. It does play solo.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Tony or anybody else out there has played it solo yet. I can't speak to that. But I'll be honest, I enjoyed the game enough to where, you know what, down the road I might do a solo playthrough of it. And I'm hoping that somebody during the early part asked how they could get it, and I'm hoping that the publisher was able to answer that. Because I don't know, it sold out at Spiel, but I talked about this. We talked about it on the Pod Blast during Spiel, talked about it to a whole bunch of folks while we were there. And a lot of folks went over to the booth, and obviously they sold out. So I don't know that there's U.S. distribution coming, anything like that.
I think they addressed that, but I'm sure they can address it here at the end as well. But so, question to you. This was you were excited about this. This was your hidden gem of Spiel. Did it live up to that?
Oh, it totally did. Because it was completely off my radar. I mean, I didn't even know about it until the Wednesday of Spiel, right? The day before during Media Day. And last year, that wasn't the case with my hidden gem of Spiel. This one definitely lived up to it, and I'm legitimately excited. I'm grateful that it lived up. You know what I mean?
Yes, you were very excited.
Okay, good. And
so my question to you on that, the last 2 Kenner Spiel winners were Wingspan and Quaxer Quedlinburg. How does this compare to those 2? If those 2 are on the shelf and this, how likely are you to go for this one?
Oh, there's no doubt. Well, the Quacks far overstays its welcome. To me, it plays way too long for what it is. It was about 3 rounds too long when we played it, I think.
Yeah.
This completely blows that out of the water. Wingspan, I think, is perfectly fine and perfect for what it does. Would I prefer this or Wingspan? I would prefer this.
I don't think that punches above its weight. It is what it is.
Right.
And
this,
it's
I think, does.
Good game, and it's beautiful. But it doesn't, it's going to hit a certain crowd, and I don't think it varies much from that. Whereas I feel like with this, we've said, heavier gamers are going to be happy to play this, lighter gamers are not going to have a problem with the rule set, and so it just has more breadth. Yeah,
I agree. And that, again, it's not a slight on Wingspan. I mean, it's sold billions of copies, it feels like.
Well, I think the point is, if this was stuck in a Kenner Spiel jury, would feel it would deserve its place.
I do. I mean, I think it's perfect for what it tries to do, and I think it does it in a really interesting. And we haven't even really talked about the theme. Obviously, none of us are Chinese, but it feels
the theme actually does feel thematic. I mean, I'm getting
the
divination of the gods, using their blessing over here, right? Those lightning cards. That all of that. I do actually feel the theme through it, and no, I don't think you could just tack on another theme. It wouldn't, not with the coins, and it does bleed through. So that's nice as well. And I know for the Kenner Spiel, it's often talked about that what they look at is the experience that people have when they're sitting around playing the game, watching people play those games. And I think we're hearing in chat that they were like, wow, that was an enjoyable watch, just seeing you in that interaction. So I think it would hold its place for that level of interaction, and where you're watching what the other players are doing, having angst, and then maybe even changing your moves, but also enjoying that experience.
Yeah. And we got in each other's way, partially on purpose, partially not. And you saw how important not using those cards, if you can.
I was not happy I had to use
so it worked out. So there you go. All right, so there you go. There's our first game. Wow, it's going to be hard to match this every time, I'll be honest, in enjoyment, because it's just not going to happen. But that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. That is Yin Yang by BG Nations. I'm hoping that the publisher can reach out and let me know, so that, because I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of questions on how is it available. I would suggest both the publisher and you guys go check it out on BGG. The publisher is starting a thread on it over there, hopefully, because I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of questions down below after the stream. I don't know.
We can link it once we have the
There you
information.
go. So thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Thank you to both Martin
Well,
and
thank
Jess.
you for sharing. This is a great little gem. I enjoyed it a lot.
And I was asking the local group, hey, what game do you guys want to stream on Friday? Everybody knew what game we were going to stream.
Surprises.
It got hand carried for a reason.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover, by the way.
It really
I know.
is.
It really
isn't
is.
it?
Gorgeous
You see
cover.
what I'm saying? Everything
Yeah.
about this just appeals. So there you go. If you guys liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe down below. The subscriptions help y'all. The like helps us. It really does help the show. It helps the YouTube algorithm, so it shows up in more people's whatever.
Share
You
it
get
with
the
friends,
idea.
yeah.
And if you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/heavy cardboard. 14 more, and we get a new camera. That's exciting. There's also a lot of other benefits for you guys as well.
You get
can also
to
go to
continue this conversation in Slack
Yes.
24/7, which is the best place to do that. Talk about these games, learn about the stuff that the local group is doing. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, the
you go.
Slack channel is very good.
It is. It's really, and it's we don't have to moderate it. Knock on wood.
Nice
so
people.
There's that. All right. You guys have a great weekend.